Hey family, how you doing? I want to talk very quickly. I don't have actually that much time, but I'm gonna try to get this out for you. I'll probably publish it tonight, but I want to talk to you about a failure of the metaphysical community. And I've talked to you periodically about failures within the metaphysical community, and this is a major one. This is a major one. A few years ago, James Baldwin started making a comeback intellectually. And I watched several people in the metaphysical community. I watched several people in the supposed black revolutionary community, including one irritated genie who I typically like. Irritated genie and several people in the metaphysical community at the same time attacked Baldwin and encouraged people who followed them not to read Baldwin. Now, this is something that I thought was just absolutely ridiculous because basically they're, especially from Irritated Genie's standpoint, the reason why you shouldn't read Baldwin is because he was gay. I mean, that's stupid to me. Yes, homosexual agenda aside, the fact that the media promotes a lot of black men who are effeminate, absolutely. But still, that was dumb. To say just because Baldwin happened to be gay and happened to be messing around with white men that his writings have no bearings on black people literally cut away a portion of our consciousness which we should have access to right now. This is a major failure within the metaphysical community. They have encouraged us to not revolutionize our minds. Even amongst some of the supposed revolutionaries, they encourage you to read a lot of books, except for the classic revolutionary texts that were produced often during colonialization and during the period of supposed decolonialization. They are not encouraging us, in other words, to read our ancestral works so our minds and spirits and bodies might actually be ready for a period which even they admit is coming. They're typically feeding us stuff that doesn't give us the necessary bones, the backbones, to prepare for this period of time. And that is devastating. Because a lot of these people who are studying the works that these folks are offering, wonderful cats, wonderful women, they got great intellect, great minds. But when dealing with the physical manifestations of metaphysical power and of ancestral will setting, these people have no idea how to interpret what is actually happening. You cannot, and I've stated this before and I'll state it again, you cannot talk about metaphysical without tending to the physical. And too many of these people have leaned far too heavily on the meta side than the physical side. This accounts for, and I've noted this because, as I've been getting into this over the last 6 years, I have been watching videos from, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, watching videos from, 10 years ago and 5 years ago. This is why so many metaphysicians seem so out of touch, and why a lot of people who study physical reality, preparing themselves mentally for the radicalism that was going to be sparking off. This is why many of them who have absolute respect for some of the work being done by the metaphysical community looks at the metaphysical community and says, you guys are like way the hell out in left field. You're not bringing that stuff home. Why would people want to seek you out if they can't utilize what you're talking about in a practical manner? And this is the key to the failure of the metaphysical community. Now, I don't mean failure as in, completely write them off. I mean, this is just one of the things that they did wrong. This is just one of the things that they did wrong. They didn't keep it home. They didn't bring it to the ground. And now we are actually a little bit unprepared for this. Because there is ancestral energy that is awaiting us. But we can't access it because we don't have the temporal map that was set forward by people like Baldwin. When white people can quote our ancestors back to us better than we can, there's a problem. Now, of course, some in the metaphysical community, some in the revolutionary community will be quick to say, well, if they can cite it, then maybe the problem is that, they can cite it and that it's not really meant for us, but it's meant for them. Have you lost your mind? As Bobby Hemmett even admitted, the thing that white people do is they study everything because they have claims to none of it. So of course they're going to study it. That doesn't mean that it's just for them. That type of logic is absolutely nuts. That would be then to say that black folks shouldn't study anything. That we should leave Native American mythology and prophecies alone. That we shouldn't even go towards Asia and study any of that because white people are studying it. We shouldn't mess with Africa, especially because white people are all over Africa studying Africa. That is a limiting mindset. And it is actually what got us to this point. Yes, white people don't have a claim to everything, as Bobby Hemmett admitted. But you know what also Bobby Hemmett admitted? And this is often left out of the mindset of a lot of revolutionaries and a lot of metaphysicians. White people don't have a claim to a damn thing. That's why they study it all. Black people have a claim to everything, and yet we do not study anything. What are we doing? We should have been studying. The reason why Baldwin came back a decade ago was to prepare us for now. The reason why Malcolm came back 8 years ago is to prepare us for now. Actually, Malcolm's preparing us for 10 years from now. But the reason why Garvey started coming back recently in the conversation of reparations, that's preparing us for the beginning of the 2030s and the middle of the 2030s. There's a bunch of, of other people, including, that's why I just almost tripped myself up over my tongue, is because I was going to say Nkrumah. There is a ton of people, Eric Williams, who we should be getting into the habit of reading now. It's time to bring metaphysics down to the physical. If we cannot do that, then in 10 years, it will be a complete failure of the metaphysical community. They would have not done their work. And everything that they would have hoped to have built will be up in smoke. Phil Valentine has probably the most conscious ability that I have seen. Now, I have, some of the newer guys they don't do it for me. They're of a new generation. They just don't work on my brain. So I don't necessarily mess with them. But Phil Valentine possibly has that foundation set where we can actually bring it all home. But there's going to have to be a new generation that brings it on home too. We can't just study stuff that tinges the edges of the imagination. We have to go beyond that now. We have to bring back our forefathers and foremothers. Asada came back 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Ma'at. Septet. Negpadet. She's prepping us for the middle of this decade. And further. The Black Panthers started coming back the middle of the last 2 decades ago. Sekhmet. In the early 90s, Mama Marimba Ani made the statement that she was watching the killing of black people, and particularly black men, and she said, this is clearly the energy of Ogun, but we don't know what to do with it. This is clearly the energy of Ogun, we just don't know what to do with the energy. We have a bunch of warriors who are going to war with each other. We were misled. And I'm begging the black metaphysical community to get your minds right. It just can't be about the stuff that we don't see. This planet is bequeathed to us. The healing that will take place in the coming couple of centuries will be because of us. The elevation will be because of us getting our minds right. If we are not willing to get our minds right, we lose. For this same reason, black people need to get back into Marxism. The reason why Marxism is hated so viscerally by white people in power is because Marxism is a metaphysical interpretation of the economy. That's why there's all that math. Marxism is a metaphysical interpretation of the economy. Marx understood the deeper levels of the metaphysical aspect of the economy. And he used that knowledge to put together those books. So we need to be studying that. We need to be studying that. What I'm going to try to do over the next year is get together books that are not metaphysical in nature. Most of them are philosophical in nature, theoretical in nature. But these are books that we need to be reading, that we need to be ingesting. Why? Is it going to, help our understanding of time as an element and all the rest? No. But it is going to give us the foundational ingredients to understanding the mind state that went into creating the world as it is. You can't do that by looking at the meta portion of metaphysical. In order to understand the ingredients, you are going to have to understand the philosophy, the theology, the theoretical appendments that went together and the theosophy, by the way, that went together to form this world as it is imagined right now. As I said, I didn't have much time. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them below, ladies and gentlemen. This was a difficult one, but it had to be said. Much love to you and to the ancestors. Peace.